Join us for the Criterion Institute podcast as Joy Anderson, a global thought leader in business and social change, leads us through a series of discussions, interviews, frameworks, rants, and reframes that will help you better understand how to use finance as a tool for transformative systems change.
I am Joy Anderson, and this is the Criterion Institute podcast. This is an episode about hope, about how we find hope in community, in relationships, in conversations. It begins with the acknowledgement that we used during Convergence over the last month in February, where we began every meeting with an acknowledgement of the context in which we were in and an invitation for how to show up. That was a tool, that was a process, it was words and a practice that fed me, and I think fed others during the month of February. The second part of this is a brief reflection on a conversation I had this morning, where together we found grace on a Monday morning. Enjoy. Criterion has a practice of beginning many meetings with an acknowledgement that positions the meeting in the context of broader power dynamics. And so as we prepared for the Convergence this February on imagining a future of gender lens investing, and we are in the midst of so many of our friends being investigated, being at risk for what they said during Convergence, it took us some time to figure out what the phrasing was, to be able to acknowledge the moment that we were in, but also create an openness to have a conversation. And so this acknowledgement was repeated at every conversation, at the beginning of every session of Convergence. And it went as follows. So please lift your hand off your keyboard. No typing, no clicking. Use your hands and your body to shake off whatever you might be carrying into this conversation. We acknowledge we are navigating systems that are designed to slow us down and maybe to take us down. We invoke our human right to be in conversation freely. We state for those who might later try to take this moment from us, this conversation and any information disclosed herein are confidential and intended solely for the use of the individuals involved. We recognize that the work we do here to reimagine futures is a privilege. Too few have the space, security, or resources to do so. Not all voices are heard, and too many are silenced. We recognize our privilege and commit to using our power. Hold your hands out in front of you, palms up. For many, this is a gesture of openness to new ideas, to collaboration, to reimagining the future together. We come here hoping for surprises. We seek to be changed by the conversation rather than only changing others. We join to form knowledge, not to perform expertise. Now slowly close your hands into fists, holding on to the strength and determination needed for this work, and then open them again, ready to build. Take a moment to remind yourself of what you have already built. Here we are, showing up. Not because we're not exhausted, not because we're not afraid, but because this work has never been more urgent. So lift your hands, stretch them outward, and wrap your arms around yourself as if embracing the community gathered here. Feel the strength of those around you, even in this virtual space. Let us begin. So we repeated that acknowledgement in 51 conversations, over and over, naming how we're coming together, why we're coming together, seeking to create some kind of safe place to have some really hard conversations at a time when we feel threatened from outside, but also to acknowledge that our ability to have those conversations itself is a point of privilege. And that so many have come before us silenced in this work. And so our mandate that we must speak, we must open the space for others to be in dialogue and use our power to share that space. So we ended the conversation then on the final closing, and we rewrote the acknowledgement. So again, please lift your hands off the keyboard, no typing, no clicking. Use your hands and your body to shake off whatever you might be carrying into this conversation. After convergence, we will continue to navigate systems designed to slow us down and likely to take us down. We continue to invoke our human right to be in conversations freely. We state for those who might later take this moment from us, we, in solidarity, will resist. The work we have done here to reimagine futures is a privilege. Too few have the space, security, or resources to do so. We commit to using our power so that more voices are heard and none are silenced. Hold your hands out in front of you, palms up. This gesture signals openness to collaboration and to shaping the future together. We seek out conversations that foster imagination and lead to collective action. Slowly close your hands into fists, holding the strength and determination needed for this work. Hold your fist just a bit longer, as if holding on to the collective determination of those gathered, and open them again, ready to build. Imagine what we could build together. We showed up, whether we were worn out, overwhelmed, or exhausted. We showed up because this work has never been more urgent, and the work must be done in community. Lift your hands, stretch them outward, and wrap them around yourself, embracing the community gathered here. Feel the strength of those around you, carrying this feeling into the weeks and months ahead. Let us begin. Today is Monday, the 17th of March, 2025. I am not a fan of Mondays. I'm not sure if it's Monday or Sunday night I dislike most, but this kind of balancing, did I work all weekend and show up on Monday exhausted, resenting that I worked all weekend, might feel ahead of things, but exhausted, or I didn't work during the weekend and now I feel like, dang, I got a week of craziness ahead of me and I'm not on top of things. Either way, I'm usually pretty cranky on Mondays. My day today started with a call, though. And in the beginning, she asked me, "How are you?" And I said, because that's what you say, "I'm fine. I'm okay." And in that moment, I felt that. And she said, "I'm not." And I was so struck by the honesty. She said, I feel vulnerable. I feel a little bit closer to the edge. We talked about the threats to her work, the threats to her livelihood, because this is a crazy time. And while many of us are experiencing our lives being criminalized for the first time, this was a conversation with somebody whose life had been criminalized many times. And she wasn't okay. And I didn't know how to respond. I found my mind wandering and thinking, well, I'm tired. Why am I having this conversation? But I stayed in it. It was somebody who I had recently met and was so taken by her energy, her spirit, her hope. And she kept saying to me, I'm not okay, but I'm an optimist, so I don't know how to not be okay. And that I resonated with. I am often the pixie of possibility, trying to say, yeah, how bad can it be? Let's figure it out. Let's move forward. There's got to be new options. But the vulnerability that she was feeling in her life right now couldn't be wished away. But we stayed in the conversation. It doesn't really matter what it was, but we found some possibilities. We found a sense of not problem solving. There was nothing to fix. But at moments like this, what we're seeking are pathways to hope, pathways to a sense of grace that will be surprised not just by another horrific headline, but that will be surprised by leadership, will be surprised by somebody taking a stand, will be surprised in community, will be surprised by a conversation where I've had so many of these. I have a longtime friend who the number of times I've called her and I have been about to quit, and she offers me a moment of hope. And sometimes I resent her because I wish I had quit a few times. But I am also so grateful for those signs that say we can still have hope. And I was so proud to, despite my crankiness on a Monday morning, provide that to somebody today.
To learn more about our work, visit us at criterioninstitute.org. And if you're enjoying this podcast, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your reviews help our podcast reach a wider audience. Thanks for listening.